So ever since the Overwatch League started, I started to spot one character that has been in a lot more of my games, and I feel like overall has been played a lot more this season. And she hasn't gotten any buffs, she hasn't really gotten much changes. People have just seen a lot of potential coming out of this character, a lot of big plays coming out of her, and of course that is, as the title states, WIDOWMAKER. Widow's always been a decently good pick in esports. We've always seen a okay amount of her, and depending on the meta you see her a little bit more or a little bit less. But currently right now, when Mercy is such an important target to kill, and when we're in a map rotation that is very open, there's a lot of Widow to be seen, and I feel like a lot of people are kind of taking that as initiative to pick up this character. And today I want to talk about if Widow really is that great in Overwatch competitive, or if she's kind of useless, depending on a lot of different things. And this will be talking about Overwatch competitive, moreover, kind of mentioning a little bit about Overwatch League, but remember that these are two very different things, and I guess that's the first thing I want to talk about. We are seeing a lot of WIDOWMAKER, a lot of hype shots, a lot of good moments in the Overwatch League, because she works well there. Her teammates don't really have to rely on her damage to be able to make nice pushes. Her teammates can get all their good ultimates together. Her teammates can really just play smart, play safe, and wait for the Widow to get a pick, and then they can go in. But you do have to remember that competitive is different. Your teammates, when you're playing as WIDOWMAKER, won't always wait for you to get that pick, and oftentimes they're expecting for you to get out consistent damage in the middle of a team fight, when everyone's going all over the place, when the screen is full of projectiles, full of damage, full of diva bombs, full of everything. You're still suspected to get in there, get those kills, even when you have very bad angles, really hard shots. That's still kind of all up for you, and I feel like that's the one main thing I want to talk about, is that you do get put in a lot harder positions, I'm going to say, in competitive, and you do have to make a lot more clutch shots because people won't really wait up for you. And do, I guess, just get ready to have all that pressure on your back as WIDOWMAKER, because if you don't really get anything off as this character, you might just kind of be asked to switch. And I guess that is the main difference, in my opinion, between Overwatch competitive and Overwatch League, as far as kind of Widow's playstyle and everything. Now, another thing that I feel like, though, is good about WIDOWMAKER, you know, it's getting off to the bad, but up to the good right here, is that WIDOWMAKER has, in my opinion, the best pick potential in competitive, just hands down. Sure, people like Mei can get nice walls and can kill people, and sure, Hanzo can get just ridiculous picks out of nowhere, even on tanks, but WIDOWMAKER can just consistently get picks, and this has been something that she's always been able to do. And it does depend on the map. Some maps are just really closed in, really hard to get kills, and the supports can just hide behind the enemy tanks, and you're just going to be in trouble. But in a lot of cases, WIDOWMAKER does have a chance to get picks. And if you can happen to just get pick after pick after pick with WIDOWMAKER, even just one at a time, you know, the enemy finally regroups and you get another one, you're going to be wasting a lot of the enemy's time. Or you're going to be making a lot of the team fights for your teammates to play in a lot easier. Just having so much potential compared to everyone else, I think, is an important factor. But I think it's especially important in Overwatch League, because once you get a pick, you can all group up, you can all push together. But sometimes when you get a pick in competitive, it's not quite as strong, honestly, because sure, you're still up one, but oftentimes you as the WIDOWMAKER may not be positioned to actually help your team too much in the next fight. You might not have enough skill to get headshots in the middle of a hectic fight as well. And of course, your teammates are often quite split up, and even a 5v6 isn't quite as effective, I feel like, especially if you can't be in the front line getting consistent damage as someone like a Reaper may be able to. So I guess that is one of the kind of problems about WIDOWMAKER, is that picks are important, but sometimes they won't get you the win, like a frontline Reaper or a frontline McCree popping off getting 2 or 3 kills might happen to do in a game. That's something you kind of keep in mind. Now, this is something different I want to talk about that does only relate to competitive. A lot of the time in competitive, people are going to overextend, and a lot of the times people are going to forget you exist as WIDOWMAKER, and if this happens, you're honestly in luck as this character. If people just aren't playing around the Widow, if they aren't playing around corners, if they aren't ready to push with their team, if they're going by themselves, if they're just making a lot of basic mistakes that people do make, up on Masters, they're making them all the time, but every single rank, honestly, yeah, she can do just work. I think, honestly, WIDOWMAKER is the best character at just punishing the enemy's mistakes, and if they make very few mistakes, it can be kind of hard to play this character. And if you can't really spot a lot of the enemy's mistakes, it might be kind of hard to play this character. But if you can spot them and if you can abuse them, you can often really easily win a game. And I'm gonna say that if you're super good at WIDOWMAKER and the enemy team is making just a few small mistakes, you can win that game for your team 100%. I see so many WIDOWMAKERs right now in games with extremely high win percentages. Maybe their shot percentages aren't even way too high, but as long as they can get a few clutch kills at the right time, That's what's often important, and Widow is one of those characters that can especially do that, especially when the enemy team kind of forgets you exist, because sometimes you just don't shoot for a while, they forget you exist, and then you can kill the enemy Mercy while rezzing. That's always honestly a good time for you. Now, something else about competitive that I feel like is important is that WIDOWMAKER can kind of fit into any team comp. Now, I'm not going to say that she fits amazingly into any team comp, but I feel like she can work okay in spam by getting just a few picks, and honestly, just by getting picks, she can work in any team comp. Spam, you can help get picks there. If it's a dive comp, you don't have much pressure on yourself, so you can try to go for picks as your teammates are diving in. And death ball, you can kind of stay away from your team's death ball, and hopefully, people won't really pay attention to you as the rest of your team death balls. Everything kind of just works okay for WIDOWMAKER. But I guess one thing you have to say about, playing Widow is that it will often make your team comp a lot weaker if you aren't getting those picks. I mean, if you're pushing in as a 5-man dive comp, obviously that's going to be worse than pushing in as a 6-man dive comp. So remember that, and remember that if you aren't going to get picks as this character, your team is going to be at a huge disadvantage with these comps, and it's honestly going to be pretty hard for your teammates to play around this character. But she can work with just about any team comp, and if you can figure out where to position and where to play, and if you can get good enough at WIDOWMAKER, honestly, you can play her almost anywhere. And one thing I want to mention about this as well is that Widow really doesn't have any hard counters, so the enemies can't really pick a super good team comp against Widow, I guess really depending on the map. Of course, there can be some characters like Diva and Winston that can hurt her, but she can honestly, for the most part, just get away, reposition, and start sniping again. I don't feel like she has any super hard counters, especially from other DPS. There's not anyone that really kills her way too much, depending on the map again. But I guess that's just another good part about her that makes her really fit into just a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different situations. Now, for Widow, a thing I should also mention, though, about competitive is that Widow kind of does need competent teammates, and you can't really just hard carry a game 100% all by yourself past a certain rank. Of course, if you're a very low rank and you have shot after shot after shot of WIDOWMAKER and you're just killing everybody on the enemy team because they have no idea where to position, you can carry that game. That should be pretty obvious. But once you get to a certain point where the enemies start to group up, where they start to play safe, and you can't really get picks quite as much, you do kind of need competent teammates to avert their attention. And if your teammates just keep getting pushed and just pushed back, or they keep getting picked, you can't really help them way too much. Of course, you can kind of levy it up so, the enemies get a kill and then you get a kill yourself, but that's not really going to win you that fight, and you don't really have any super moves that are going to win you that fight, like a Reaper ult or a Soldier ult or anything like that. I mean, I guess in every situation with every team comp, you want a competent player base on your team, but WIDOWMAKER especially kind of has troubles compared to some of the other DPS like Genji that can honestly carry their pretty terrible teammates. WIDOWMAKER needs, at least I feel like, kind of half decent teammates, at least once you get to higher up elo. Now, here's something else I also need to mention about competitive. Widow can't really play with her team, and she can't really use team winning ultimates, and this is kind of relating to the previous point. You can't really combo up with your team way too well with team comps. She can still do a lot of stuff effectively. She can still get kills, the most important thing in the game. But remember that you can't just win a game by ulting as WIDOWMAKER, and with a lot of characters, you just kind of can. If you're playing somebody like Soldier and you get a nice ult, you can win that game. If you're playing somebody like Zarya, or if you're playing somebody that combos with Zarya, like, let's say, Tracer, you can win the game like that as well with just some nice, simple team combos. WIDOWMAKER doesn't really have any nice, simple team combos. I mean, I guess you could halt somebody as Orisa and then headshot them as WIDOWMAKER, but that's often not going to happen way too much. You do have a decent ultimate, but you can't win with that alone, so you will really have to rely on your own personal skill, and I think that can make her feel really useless in some situations when the enemy team are just pounding up their ultimates, they're pounding up their combos, they're doing a lot while maybe you're not getting a kill right then, and your team is just like, hey, why do we even have this guy? He's not doing way too much. I guess that's one thing that can kind of hurt you when you're playing as WIDOWMAKER. So for the enemy team, a lot of the time I feel like they are going to focus you. That's going to be a pretty obvious thing. You're applying just a ton of pressure, a lot of kills. But if they are focusing you, it's honestly not way too bad if you're getting some help. If you're getting some healing, if you're getting some peel from your tanks, you can still continue to do quite a bit even under pressure. However, if you aren't getting much help, I feel like that makes WIDOWMAKER quite useless as well. Again, with Tracer and Genji and Doomfist, they don't really need their teammates to be healing them up, to be protecting them that much. They can just kind of go out and do whatever they want. But as Widow, if the enemy team is focusing you just by yourself and no one's helping you, you might be useless. Sure, you might not die, but if you're not getting picks, you're not really doing much either way. So I guess do just kind of keep that in mind as playing WIDOWMAKER. Sometimes you might just feel kind of useless again, which can be kind of hard on her. And one final thing I want to say about WIDOWMAKER is that honestly, Widow's a character that can be overpowered and useless at the same time, no matter the meta. I guess not no matter the meta, but in most metas and in most cases, because she is a very map dependent character. If there's a map with very small corridors, barely anywhere to snipe, no huge line of sight areas, what can you do on that map? You can maybe get some close range shots, you can maybe do a little bit and find some halfway dank angles, but for the most part, you're not going to do way too much and you should probably switch. However, if you're like on Elios Runes, where it's just all open, you can do whatever you want to, obviously, she's going to be really good. Super hard to counter, consistent damage, consistent kills, everything you could want from this character. Just kind of realize that Widowmaker is a character that is situational, but very map situational. And oftentimes, while she does work with most team comps, look at the map. See, can I do well on this map? And if I can't, what else can I play to kind of help my team? That's what I'm going to say about Widowmaker. And really, if you're playing Widowmaker, I'm going to say, as always, try to learn McCree, because he can take up that close to mid-range area, while Widow can take up that super long-range area. And if you know both those characters, you can play DPS in pretty much any situation, which I guess kind of gets rid of the useless part about Widowmaker and makes so that she doesn't really have too much bad about her, I guess, if you are playing other characters. So there you go with that. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I just wanted to give out my own opinions about Widowmaker. I just kind of want to talk about random characters and random things on my channel from now on for a while, because, you know, there aren't really way too many changes in Overwatch for a while, and I thought that this would maybe be a topic that you guys might enjoy me talking about. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like or press the subscribe button. Press that notification button to see videos like this in the future. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.